think the real cause of the Civil War was, the root of the Civil War?
Slavery? It was like the controversy over slavery.
Slavery.
On the surface, it was to abolish slavery.
Lazy time. I don't know how I'm living.
Brought me from Africa.
They're not a thing but a dog.
When the last slave was finally freed in America?
I really don't know, but if I had to guess, it would probably have been after the war, so sometime in the 1870s.
18 something, 8, I don't remember.
Well, I would assume 1863.
It was in the late 1860s.
I'm gonna say 2005 probably was the most worst.
That was probably last November to December. That's when they would not allow me to sleep. I would probably get to sleep maybe a couple hours a week. So they fed me drugs to keep me going. So I don't even, it's weird to talk about it sometimes.
5 years old, I was taken away from my mom.
You know, I wasn't anything. They told me that I am a ghost, I don't exist. When I couldn't get any of the money for them, I would be punished very severely, to the point where the people who went and did the investigation in the house over in Depew, they said my blood was literally everywhere on the walls and floors in that apartment building.
No way.
It's true.
Oh shit, where that's at? Where is it at?
The most difficult part of my job when I'm in the United States is convincing United States citizens that this crime not only happens overseas, but it's actually happening in your own backyard.
I was born in Buffalo, New York.
So I went to Sweet Home High School.
A lot of times people think that, oh, well, even if it is happening in the United States, it's not happening to United States citizens.
Is it the immigrants this time?
Illegal immigrants that kind of get stuck.
I'm just like, man, it is happening. I wish you could see what I see every day.
It's like, it's a really hard thing to kind of talk about because it really does feel like slavery. You know, you don't have a say. You don't get to be your own person.
I just felt like my little sister could fight for herself. If I couldn't be happy, I at least wanted her to be happy.
I don't think that any community, whether it's Western New York or any community across the state or nation, really understands how prevalent it is.
I thought that number, 26 million. And then now they put out the numbers that says over 40 million victims worldwide. That number, if we don't do something now, it's just only going to increase.
The entire state and nation is now learning what human trafficking is.
Do you consider maybe what you went through or what people are going through in similar situations, do you consider that slavery?
Yes, it is.
I remember sitting in the car. I was still in a car seat, and I remember looking out the front window, and I just saw the blue sky and the clouds, and I heard my mother singing "You Are My Sunshine" to me, and that's like my favorite thing because I could see her sitting up here, and it was great. I love that memory, and it makes me want to sing that song to my children when I have kids. It's my favorite thing.
I wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to be the person in the videos where they choreograph and you dance to the music and stuff like that. I wanted to do that.
The truth is that anybody can become a victim of human trafficking. And so therefore, we all must be educated and be very aware of what's happening in our community so that we can protect ourselves and protect the people that we say that we love.
It started when I was 5. The guy who came into the home I thought was a pastor, and it wasn't a pastor. It was the persons who they come in and they look at the kids.
I don't really want to say his name, but I met him in my freshman year of high school, and we were kind of friends throughout. Me being a stubborn 19-year-old, I was like, no, I'm gonna go live with my friends, him and his wife. It was, hey, you can stay with us, and we'll help you get back on your feet until you're ready. You don't have to work at this time. But then, it just got worse and worse.
I know a lot of parents have this mentality that it would never be my kid. Not my home, not my neighborhood, not my zip code, not my pay grade.
I was that artsy girl, and I was kind of like a nerd. I was really smart, really good at academics.
Just because you don't think that your child has the proclivity or the tendency or the desire to be exploited, that doesn't mean that somebody out there does not want to exploit them.
I was in my student council, but then I graduated with honors, which was really nice. So everybody kind of went to me for answers, help studying, things like that.
Trafficking as a crime does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're black, you're white, you're rich or poor. Who's the most vulnerable around us? Our babies.
During this phase, I was 6 till about 12, 13. So I was kind of switched around from like foster home to foster home. One minute you're somewhere, and then the next minute you're kind of being stripped away. I had one lady who, she was so mean. She used to put me in her basement in her shed and, like lock the doors away. She had like sons and stuff, so that was another thing. Like, she wasn't really paying attention, so me and other girls would be bothered, by them and stuff. Put it this way, I didn't want to miss the school bus, so I'd be running, screaming, trying to get on the school bus, so I wouldn't be where something was happening to me at and stuff.
There are people out there who are ready, willing, and able to exploit.
And everything that he said to me, both of them said to me really, depreciated how I was, how I felt as a person, made me really dislike myself. I didn't feel like I was me. When I had seen him hurt her for the first time, I stepped in between them. I told him, you're not gonna hurt her. I am not okay with this. You're not gonna do that. But it got worse from there, for her, for me. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just this overwhelming feeling that I was never good enough.
Disney and Nickelodeon and McDonald's. Everybody that knows about those 3 things, I want them to understand what human trafficking is.
You are forcing the individual to perform a task or work or have sex against their will.
It is when someone infringes on somebody's right to be free for the benefit of finances, either through labor or sex trafficking.
They took my paychecks at that point, and my ID had expired. They would not let me go get a new one, so I could not work. Then they made it to where I would have to beg people for money.
I got older, where I realized like it was more so of a actual event type thing going on than an actual just accidentally bothering you type situation. It was a little bit more to it than that.
They told me that all of my family hated me, that I didn't have any friends, that I was never going to be good enough to be a mother. They wanted an abortion, they wanted me to pay for it. I just couldn't get the money from them. Nobody would give me money, and I couldn't figure out a way to get it. And so they ended up doing a self-abortion at home, and the baby was about 6 months along, and they blamed me for that. They had to throw the baby in the garbage can, which really tore me apart.
I just kind of lived believing that at some point I was just gonna die.
The thing that makes human trafficking so difficult is that the behaviors that push this industry, people have normalized it. A lot of times people don't know that they've encountered a human trafficking victim. You just go to the nail shop and you just think, oh, well, I'm just getting my nails done. And you don't know that person may potentially, not definitely, but maybe a human trafficking victim. We go and we enjoy some delicacies at some of our favorite restaurants, and we don't know that maybe a cook or a chef or a waitress or a hostess in that facility may be a victim of human trafficking.
I'm looking at it like this is the system, you know, because I was in the system, so how do you fight a system that you're in?
We may drive past some of our favorite homes in our community, and we don't know that maybe inside that wall is somebody that is a domestic servant that hasn't seen the outside of that compound in God knows how long.
Everything came from me, you know, and it didn't matter what it was. TVs, game systems, stuff for the kids, food, and if I didn't have money for it, I'd have to go steal it. This one time when somebody cheated me and didn't give me the money, they ran off right after. They picked me up and they beat me senseless because the person cheated me out of something. So I just went through this awful thing. Somebody didn't give me the money that I needed for you, and then you're gonna beat me because I did this.
So I'm gonna force you to work, and then I'm gonna benefit from it. And then you're just lucky to be alive.
I ran away before and I got my jaw broken and I was wired and put in a hospital.
You know, I would be tied to chairs at night while they were sleeping, and I would be forced to stay awake. Like my legs would be tied to the bottom of the chair. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to the bathroom. He tried to drown me in the bathtub. He would sit on top of me and just punch me in the face.
Covering myself on my bedroom floor and him just thumping me.
I would get cut with knives, broken bones. They broke my jaw.
I had to pass out because he was also pouring bleach on me.
I had to have reconstructive surgery on my nose. I had to have this bone in my jaw right here pop back out, so I have a scar right here from it. They broke a total of 9 of my bones.
I lost a lot of blood, and my bladder, my kidney, and all of that was disconnected.
They really just, in every way, shape, or form, broke me down as a person.
The numbers are disturbing. You know, just pray to God your kids don't get caught up in the wrong situation. You pray that your friends' kids don't get caught up in the wrong situation, because there are people out there who organize this, who recruit people.
But maybe somebody somewhere is saying, listen, you don't do this, I'm gonna hurt your child.
He threatened my sister and my nephew, who just turned 2. You know, they were living outside of Rochester. He said that he would hurt them and he would hurt my family.
You know, one of my cousins, I actually watched them get beat up one day, and they asked me basically, are you ready now?
Or I'm gonna hurt your parent, I'm gonna hurt you.
If you ever leave, you know, I will come and find you and you will be dead within 3 days. You will not live long enough to see freedom.
Well, if I want to sleep with someone and I want to pay for it, then that's my right. But you have no way of knowing if this person is willing to do it or not.
Everything was direct. Nothing ever came to me.
And if we're going to talk about traffickers and we're going to talk about human trafficking victims, we also have to address the people paying for them. And nobody wants to talk about that, because those are your doctors. Those are your lawyers, your judges, your school teachers, unfortunately, some of your priests.
I would say every walk of life, officer, firefighter, anything that you could think of.
Because traffickers don't have a look, and neither do the trafficking victims, and neither do the buyers. Because they don't have a look, we don't know what we're looking for. And unfortunately, nobody wants to take that hard look inside themselves and say, listen, am I helping to fuel this industry? And if I am, let me stop it.
I still to this day call it a get down, lay down party. It's either you're gonna get down or you're gonna be dead.
You may see somebody on the street corner and you just identify them as a whore, a prostitute, or a hoe, and you don't know that they don't really want to do this.
But I do remember some of them when I went to go to their house to run away from them, they wouldn't let me in.
I literally felt like people looked at me like I was a drug addict.
And I think so many times trafficking victims don't come forward because they don't feel like people are going to take them seriously.
The victims are scared. Again, they're forced to do this in the first place.
And then the people that, you know, you're with, they're like going to church and different things like that. So it's like, that's even more scarier, like who you going to or who you going to tell.
They also, a lot of times, don't trust law enforcement.
The one guy who was head of everything, he was like very well connected with the police and the judges, and if I can't go to them for help, where am I going to go now?
Just relationships when I was younger, I wouldn't stay if there was like red flags. So I knew how to take care of myself. When I got into this, you know, I realized that I needed to get out a couple times. One night while they were sleeping, I'm like, I gotta get away. I have to, this is not right, I'm scared. So that night, I stayed awake all night. Instead of trying to get their money, I planned what I was gonna do, how I was gonna get away. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, then I climbed out the window, climbed onto the roof, and I jumped off the roof. And I landed very hard, and I fractured my T12 and crushed it like a pop can. And so, but I got right back up and I ran about a mile to the hospital. And, you know, I felt I was safe there, and I was there all day. And then when I was discharged, I was gonna figure out somewhere I could go that wasn't back to that house. And I didn't care if I was homeless at that point, I just wanted to be free, wanted to be away from it. And when I was getting ready to walk out of the hospital, there he comes walking through the door, and I had no choice but to go with him.
You know, because in the beginning for me, I didn't have anywhere to go. They have friends all over, because I even tried to run out of town one time, and the people were right there.
Just gotten a job at the Dairy Queen that was across the street, and I did not want to go home because I was so terrified because I did not get the money they needed, and I was not getting a paycheck that day. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be in pain. And so I tried to drink bleach in the bathroom at my job. And as soon as it touched my lips, I regretted it immediately. It burned so bad. And it didn't work. You know, no matter how deep I cut, it just didn't work. So to hide it from them, I had put on a sweater. What can I do before they wake up? Because this is around like 6 in the morning. So then I tried to hang myself in the closet. What I used to hang myself with, you know, I had passed out, but what I used, it gave slack and I hit the ground. And I woke up and I had to get out of the closet very quick and take down what I did because they heard the thud of me hitting, you know, the ground and the wall. And I was so disappointed that I had woken up at that point in time.
I think at that time I really wish somebody told me to speak up no matter what. And if one person doesn't listen, try another person, don't just shut down. And if you feel like you can't say it, write it down.
The biggest need is for victims to come forward, to trust us.
We're unique from a lot of other cities because we have a human trafficking task force, we have a human trafficking court, and we have a DA who has made a strong stance that, listen, like, human trafficking is just not going to be tolerated in our area.
You have partners from every agency in this county. We investigate human trafficking and then we prosecute it.
He didn't look at me and look at them skeptical. He believed them.
The victims need to know, so any victim who's seeing this, okay, needs to know that I'm not going to look at you as a criminal. I'm going to look at you as someone who needs help.
They will not persecute you because you say, oh, I did drugs, I did some things that I shouldn't have done. Most of the time it's not because you could have done anything to stop it.
The community can help out if they recognize or they believe that someone may be a victim of human trafficking, to contact us.
After everything happened, I heard a lot of people tell me that they were sorry and they wish they would have listened to me, and from now on, if somebody was telling them something, they would believe it.
Contact us, and then we'll get that person help, and hopefully that help will lead to putting the person who did it behind bars.
And that's why we need the community to really make a conscious decision to say, you know what, I'm going to be educated on this subject, because in order to protect myself, my children, and my community, it's worth that investment. So if you see a new face in your street and you go talk to them, but they don't even know what city they're in, like that's a red flag. If you encounter a group of individuals and it seems like only one person is speaking for a group of people and the other people seem really timid and very scared, that can also be a red flag. Or what about the child that's in school that all of a sudden they're having truancy issues? Or somebody that you know lives below the poverty line, but now they're coming to school with Gucci and all these other brands that you know that they or their parents cannot afford. And all of a sudden now they're hanging out with older people, or they have more than one social media account, one that looks appropriate, and then the next one is just like, wait, who is that person? I don't know that individual. Just as we protect our homes with security systems, we also need to protect our children and have open conversations about those things. Hey, this is what trafficking is. These are people who may not always mean you well. Have honest conversations. Create an atmosphere in your home where your children can feel like they can talk to you.
If you did something that, your parents, would probably get upset about, they would rather you tell them and you be safe and you not be doing that things because somebody's forcing you to do or somebody told you to do it than to be doing it. Late December last year, I had contacted a friend of mine who I met in basic training. And she felt like she betrayed me by contacting my parents, but she saved my life. She told them, Heather's in a really bad situation. This is the picture she sent to me. How can I help? What can we do to get her out of this? So my sister kind of kept up with me. About 5 days later, she sent the police to the house every single day, like I asked her to. And when the police showed up, they would come to the door and, they would talk to him and her. On the last day, finally, I was like, Abby, you need to send somebody here that is only going to talk to me and nobody else from the house. And she got that exactly. I don't remember his name. I got to tell him what was going on. I'm like, they're hurting me, I need out. Can you help me get out? He's like, I cannot lie to them, but whatever you tell them, I will play along with and we will get you out. So we went upstairs, told them that my family had sent the police officer at this time and I had to leave for a mental welfare, like a mental health check. I left with the police officer and I told him what happened to me. He brought me to ECMC, which was probably about a 20-minute drive from the house, and I was free. I was healthy, or on my way to being healthy, and I was safe, finally. Like, everything was just so amazing to me. Just to see the sunshine was amazing to me because I didn't get to go outside for a lot of this time, For about 3 months, I was pretty much kept indoors. So my next step was here.
International Institute, Project Mona's House. There are a number of other nonprofits in this area who help people out. They play an integral role in helping me out.
They were going to put me in a motel, but they didn't think it was safe enough for me, so that's why they contacted her about it.
Not only did that type of evil happen in this community, she found help in this community as well.
They're going to help me get past all the health problems that I have, the mental health that I need, feed me, clothe me, house me. I absolutely love Kelly. She's become a real important person in my life. She's helped me grow as a person. She's so much better and I'm so much more confident and just everything, just through the connections she's helped provide for me.
And we got a lot more work that needs to be done. We have a lot more pathways to create in order to resurrect this new Underground Railroad. Not to spread fear, but to spread facts. I think that the bravest and the strongest people in the world are the people who are willing to try. And from there, we can push towards a future where slavery is eradicated.
Sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take